Here at Adwise, we have a very work from home culture and work from everywhere you can culture. So having great technology is just essential for us to work and to collaborate. But also from a client's perspective, getting the message across is very important. When I joined Google Meet, for example, with Logitech Zone Wireless 2 headset, the great audio qualities and active noise cancellation for both sides is just essential for me getting my point across during a strategy session, for example, and I don't want to be disrupted by background noises, for example. So these things are just essential for the collaborative workspace we have here at Adwise.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know that we have a lot of folks joining in from all over the world, so thank you for joining us today. My name is Nathan Coutinho. I run Alliance Marketing for Logitech. I live in Chicago. And Ryan, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself as well?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining today. I'm Ryan Gennaro, a strategic alliance manager within the global alliances and go-to-market team here at Logitech.
All right, cool. So we've got quite a few things to discuss today. First of all, thank you for being here. This is our first New&Now series. We're going to try to do one every single quarter. So definitely tune in. You can see all these events on our events page on Product Hub. So Logitech, if you go Google Logitech Product Hub, you'll see an events page and you'll see all our New&Now scheduled events that are coming up. So with that, let's get started. So a little bit of housekeeping first. So if you've been using Google Meet for a while, you probably know how to do this. However, if you would like to turn on live captions, you basically have to do a couple things. At the bottom, you'll see the CC button, click on CC. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see a settings icon where you can go into the pop-up and then you can say live captions and you should be able to then see captions. Number two, we're going to do Q&A at the end. We will do some probably during the event. But if you don't mind, go ahead and put your questions in there. To get to it, you have to hit I think it's called ellipsis, but the 9-button ellipsis in the bottom right-hand corner of Google Meet. Click on it, scroll to the bottom, click on Q&A. That's where you'll find Q&A. We're going to keep it up so we can see them actively the entire time. And if you're wondering when we'll share the replay, we will share the replay next week sometime. So just look for that in your email, and it will also be on our YouTube channel. All right. So before we get started, the one last thing I wanted to mention is that if you live in the Bay Area, we have an event coming up. It's on September 25th. It's called Meet the Future. We're going to have some executives from Google and our partners like QSys, Comeen, as well as Spexip. So if you're in a interop environment, you're trying to build really large rooms with Google Meet, and you need better audio or better video or better reservation systems, please come join us. We'll basically, you can click on the QR link on the upper right-hand corner. You can get to that, and it's obviously will be publicly available pretty soon as well on our webpage. All right, with that, we'll get started. So for the agenda today, I'm going to give you a quick market update, talk about what's happening in the market, and then finally, Ryan will talk about all the different flexibility and flexible choices you have at Google Meet across all the different systems that we make, and then we'll wrap up with some Q&A. So pretty straightforward. So from a market update perspective, so Google Meet's been on the rise, and we've been really, really great and happy with this partnership with Google and obviously all the Google partners, because customers are starting to choose Google more and more because it makes sense. If you have Google Workspace, why not use Google Meet? The interface is completely integrated. You've got Gemini in the background and so many new things coming, even with Gemini and AI. So lots of great things coming from Google, and we're glad to be a partner and glad to be a part of this ride with Google. So it's just about Logitech. You may not know this. We've been number one in video conferencing in units for quite a while now. I think it's been since 2017. Starting with, if you think about our history, we started with a Meetup. We basically took a webcam. We said, hey, we want to bring that kind of webcam experience and its simplicity to huddle rooms. And that's why we created Logitech Meetup. And Meetup, as you probably know, or maybe you don't know, is the best-selling video bar of all time on the planet. Over 1.2 million units sold. I don't think anyone comes even close to that, right? So we built a great product. And then from there, we went to Rally Bar Mini, Rally Camera, Rally Board. And that has really been our growth trajectory, is coming up with simple products that can work with multiple platforms, in this case, natively with Google, both for Chrome OS as well as Collab OS. So obviously number one in there. The other thing too is when we look at the Fortune 500 index, almost all our customers are using some sort of Logitech. So for you, it's that familiarity with the support, with the product lines, with the names, and obviously the integration of all the pieces from the conference room all the way down to the desktop. And last but not least, when you look at the capacity that we've had for such a long time, in terms of being able to work with all our customers globally, really about 1 in 3 conference rooms already use a Logitech product. It might be a Logitech Scribe for whiteboarding. It might be a video cam on the front. It might be something with a Chromebox. We just seem to have a product that can fit in a lot of different scenarios. So when you look at actual data, what does the actual data tell you? Now, this is from Q1 calendar year. The new data is about to come out in a couple of weeks, so we're just a little bit ahead of that announcement. But we don't expect much of this to change. I did add a bar in there to show you kind of where we did, but we've been number one in units for quite a while, and our competitors are, well, it depends on who you look at. There's someone sometimes really far away from us, but there's a reason for this. The reason is not because we're an amazing company. We are an amazing company, but it's because we make products that work in a lot of different scenarios. They're affordable and they're available globally. So we do 100 plus countries in most of our products. And now the focus for us has been sustainability. So as of last week, we just released our brand new sustainability report. I might add that in our email on the way out so you can read it. Over 78% of our products today, 78% are made with recycled plastic. I don't know who else is doing that. And we really take a lot of pride in that because it's taken a long time to get there. It's taken us 8 years to get there. So if that's something you care about, we even share, by the way, our methodology on how we're building these using sustainable manufacturing practices with the world. So if you're a manufacturer, doesn't matter if you're a customer or a competitor, we're happy to share the methodology with you because we know we cannot do this alone. We need partners like you helping us be more sustainable. Again, like it's not all about the numbers. Obviously, there's a lot of quality. There's a lot of things that go into these numbers. We're very glad to have that kind of market share today. So a lot of customers ask, okay, so what are the focus areas? What are people doing out there? What's changing? And since the pandemic, we've definitely seen an interesting shift from, let's do a lot of large rooms to let's do a lot of small rooms. Currently, there are a lot of people focused on building um, huddle rooms and small rooms and refreshing them, not building, refreshing. So if you think about it, when we came back from the pandemic, uh, there were a few people going to the offices and they needed a space to fit everyone. So the demand from IT and actually from facilities and HR was, hey, we need larger rooms because we can't sit in the same room. We have to be socially distanced. We need to wear masks. So we kind of focused on large rooms. And pretty much 21 through 23, many customers were focused on building large rooms. Today, that has shifted a little bit because now we have a lot of people back in the office. So they don't need so many large rooms anymore. Now they need to go back and make the smaller rooms easy because guess what? During that time when we started building larger rooms, we introduced products like Sight. We started using multi-framing. The experience got simpler and better. So people would walk in, they click, join Google Meet, and boom, you're in the meeting like that. The framing is great, the audio is great. But then you go to the small rooms, you're like, this is a little old. Now we need to kind of fix that and bring that back up. So now a lot of our customers, if you ask us, they're focused on BYOD, they're focused on room systems. BYOD is interesting. It seems like there's more BYOD in different parts of the world. For example, we see it's still very popular in EMEA, in the Middle East, definitely in China. In the US, it's pretty much a room system game. Like everyone wants it completely automated. They want reservation systems so that people can book the rooms easily. They can start the rooms easily. They can share the content easily. So that's a lot what goes into like the why BYOD versus not. There's no right or wrong answer there. It's just whatever your end users are comfortable with and what your focus is on. Secondly, reservations have become super important. And, we're proud to obviously partner with Comean. We obviously have our own room system as well as desk reservation system platform with Sync. But Comean's been a great partner to work with. It seems like a lot of our Google customers are using Comean because it's so easily integrated into the overall Meet ecosystem. And then beyond reservations, it's how do you manage these rooms? See, in the past, we had one building that had 2 rooms that had video. Now we have practically every room that has video. The video market has just exploded because everyone now is used to doing video. That's not going to change. They're just going to keep going. So how you manage the rooms, either with the Google tools or with our tools, how do you do digital signage? All those now are really important. And we're glad to partner or even provide some of these capabilities built into our platform. And how can we have a webinar without talking about AI, right? So AI is, like we use Gemini every day. We use Gemini Pro as well. We use a lot of other tools as well. But I think it's important to understand how the AI works because in the AI jargon, there's a lot of stuff that's happening. And I want to explain this before even Ryan gets to this section because I think it's important. So edge-based AI is the type of AI we typically use. And what that means is we're trying to use AI to do some sort of good where we don't know who you are as a user. We're not interested in collecting your data. We just want to make sure your audio is fabulous, your video is good, people are framed correctly, they're put in boxes in grid view, and then you have a really good dynamic composition type experience, or dynamic tiles or dynamic layouts, depending on which one you're using. So we do this in the background before we hand it off to Google so that Google doesn't have to do all this extra work in the background. We're cleaning up the audio, making it like we're taking the echoes out in the room, all that kind of good stuff. And then we're doing the same thing for the framing. We frame you correctly. We send that video to the far end so that you have a seamless experience. At the end of the day, the end user has to have an easy, simple, great experience. If they're trying to figure out how to start the meeting, they're trying to figure out why they're not framed, they're not going to be happy. So we do a lot of that through Edge AI throughout all our platforms. From video, it's Right Side 2 that does the framing. It is Right Sound 2 that does the echo removal and noise removal and voice leveling and things like that. Then, of course, if you have Sight, then we have multiple points and multiple cameras where you can get your audio and your video to frame people better in your meetings. Then there's the second part is the generative AI piece, which we use ChatGPT for, we use Gemini for, all the different platforms that are out there. We don't do generative AI. That happens in the cloud. That's how Gemini works. However, for Gemini to be accurate, we have to get the audio right. That's where we come in. So we're doing that on the front end and the edge, making sure the audio is as clear as possible, that we can then transcribe properly. We can do the translations, obviously, in the background. That's not we, that's Google doing it all. So these are they go hand in hand. They're back and forth. So we're kind of joined to the hip with Google, making sure that our stuff is done well so that Gemini and everything else can take over and do that really well between take notes for me and companion mode and all that kind of stuff. Last but not least, agentic AI, I think we're just starting in this journey, right? There are a lot of great assistants that already exist. For example, Google has task assistants. They do post-meeting summaries. That now can be automated. And that's what the agent's doing. It's automating all the different AI functions to give you a result, right? I think we're starting on that journey, right? We have all the plumbing for it essentially between Gemini and what we're doing with Right Side and Right Sound, but we're not there yet. So over the next year, you'll see more and more of these software features get turned on. You don't need new hardware because we already have the hardware to be able to capture audio and video. It's all the back end that's going to change. And Google's obviously on the forefront of that. And then, so finally, what's going to happen? A lot of customers are like, well, what's going to happen in the market? And so this year we have a really interesting year. We've already gone through an end of life process with Chromebox. So if you still are running an older Chromebox, please upgrade those because those are going to not stop working, but they're not going to be supported anymore. So just to make sure you have continuity in your businesses, make sure you're keeping updated with the updates and going through the ULs properly. There are a lot of other things happening too. Windows 11's gone end of life. Most people don't use Windows 11 as a meeting room PC. Of course, you could do it manually, just like a PC like BYOD. But keep in mind, Windows 10 is going to end of life. 11 is the current version. If you have Android is going end of life for some platforms, not for everyone, right? So for Google, there's no announcement yet for that. The good news is that we are going to all Android 12 fairly shortly. Beta is going to come out probably in the next month. By the end of the year, we're going to move everyone to Android 12. So we already have a plan on making sure that we stay current so you don't have to keep buying new hardware every time something changes on the back end. So we definitely want to think about that from a sustainability perspective. And I did talk about Chromebox. The last thing I'll cover is really about Workspace. Since the pandemic, like in 2020, if you remember, we all rushed to buy laptops because many people didn't have current laptops or didn't even have a laptop. No one was about to go to the office and pull a desktop, right? So a lot of our customers ended up buying, even us, we bought a lot of laptops, right? Those are now coming into life, right? They're at the 3-year mark. I'd argue I'd like a laptop every year, but even I don't get a laptop every year. But most people keep it for 3 to 5 years. That's usually the time period. So those are starting to get refreshed. We're seeing it in the numbers. So what you really need to make sure is that the stuff, as in the peripherals, the mice, the keyboards, the webcams, the headsets, the speakerphones, are getting updated and it is supported with Windows 11, with the M4 MacBook Pros or the Macs of the world, or if you're using Linux desktops, because that will change. You don't want to have a bad experience with your end users. And then finally, the rebuilds keep happening. There's a lot of concern, obviously, right now between the wars and the economy, We're all realists here. We know it is a problem. It's slowing people down. But at the same time, we're seeing these mass rebuilds of offices because some companies are realizing, well, the office of 10 years ago is not the office of today, what people expect. If you're trying to do more flex arrangements, if you want to have more hot desking, you have to change the makeup of the office. You have to change the furniture. You have to change the walls. You may have to build a whole new office. So that is actively happening. And now going into these new rebuilds, it's not just let's go replace some rooms. It is literally how do people want to work? Do they need more open spaces? And then how do you accommodate for technology? You put mic pods in the ceiling. You put like flex devices on your desk so people can log in, reserve the desk, and go out. Of course, we make products for all those situations, and so do our partners. So this those are the questions we get on a day-to-day basis. So we wanted to make sure we share that with you. Oh, I had another slide. Sorry about that. So, like the other question I get is like, what's going to happen to the market? No one knows what's going to happen to the market. I could tell you, like I could make something up, but the reality, no one knows. Even the analysts don't know. They're all kind of trying to make an educated guess, right? So right now, we're seeing mixed results. We're growing. We had a really good quarter. We just announced earnings not too long ago. So we're definitely having a good quarter, but not everyone is. Like everyone is, by the way, even the regions are different, right? So like, and as an example, sometimes EU might be down and Middle East might be up. So we're tracking those, but everyone is trying to react to how the local economy, how the jobs are going and jobs increases or things like that, inflation, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's going to be steady, but I think we're going to have some quarters that go up. There's some quarters that are going to go down. I don't think we can change that until the entire economy kind of stabilizes a little bit. The good news for all of us, if you're focused on video is growing. And video is growing for a couple of reasons. One, everyone's using video today. Number two, like I said about huddles and small rooms, everyone is constantly refreshing because if you do not refresh, people won't use it. If people won't use it, they won't come to the office. It's like a drastic effect, right? Or a daisy chain effect. So the good news is like everyone playing in this market is seeing positive growth. We hear this from our customers. And the questions, the features, they're just increasing in complexity every day. So our job, if we do it correctly, and we'd like to think that we are trying really hard to make sure this happens, is that we simplify it for you. So the feedback we want from you is like, hey, Nathan, Ryan, like this is great, but could you also add this? Or could we possibly work with Google to fix that? We're open to feedback. That's the only way we grew up. And we're really excited on this journey. So with that, I think that was my last slide, Ryan. I'm going to hand it back to you, and we're going to cover flexibility and choice.
Yeah, fantastic. No, Nathan, that was amazing. Thank you for giving us the flyby on where the market stands as it looks in your eyes, with your connections to market analysts and everyone. It's been fantastic to get your perspective on things. And I want to provide the shameless plug. I'll flip it back to you if there's any specifics you want to provide. But if you like this kind of information, take a look, follow Nathan on LinkedIn. He has an entire podcast series where he engages with the Logitech collaboration partners. And it's really through the power of partnership that we're able to deliver some of these all-encompassing experiences beyond just what Logitech can offer. So we'll get into some of the specifics on the Logi Google side in a moment, but wanted to say, this doesn't have to be the last time you hear from us and the last time you see us as well. So Nathan, I don't know if you want to mention anything on the podcast or some of the things that, some of the folks you've interviewed with recently.
Yeah, so here's what I'll tell you. We listen. We put a lot of content out there, right? So just to be honest, right? So there's a couple ways you can engage with us. If you're a customer, obviously follow us on LinkedIn. The Logitech for Business handle, the page that we manage with our PR, they kind of push out all the content. If you don't frequent LinkedIn, we have a Logitech for Business YouTube channel now that has literally all the content on there. And then if you're more product focused and you want to see specifically features or certifications that are coming out, we have this website called the Product Hub. That's also the same site where we put all our event notifications on. So those are the top three, I would say. And for the most part, between Hub and the YouTube channel, you will get pretty much everything that's coming out. But usually people will frequent one or the other. So we kind of have to cross post sometimes, but that's usually the best. The unscripted podcast will begin sometime in the fall. We took a break because we did we do so many different pieces of content, including Shade Your Story that just ended. Yeah, there's lots of ways to connect with us. I'd say the main two are YouTube and LinkedIn. The Product Hub.
Awesome. Appreciate that, Nathan. And so happy to kind of take it in from here. I think Nathan addressed a lot of subjects which hopefully resonated with the audience here today. And it was honestly a great tee up for some of the recent updates and solutions that we have from a Logitech and Google perspective overall. But just as a kind of a level set and remind people or refresh everyone about where we stand, Logitech is proud to be the only provider in the Google Meet ecosystem that supports both flavors of deployment, Google Meet on Chrome OS and Google Meet on Android. You can see our set of devices and things that are certified with Google across the board here, from the original Meetup, now right on the verge of replacing with Meetup 2, as well as our entire Rally Bar family, which includes that dual support for Chrome and on Android. We'll also talk about the base bundle. I think that's also a very relevant topic as it pertains to extra large spaces. But just as a teaser for now, base bundle has been in market for since the beginning of the year. So if it's been a little while since you've heard about or worked with Google or deployed it yourself, there may have been previous restrictions around that. Never fear, that is available at distribution today. All of our Chrome OS solutions are powered by the latest generation 20C model, which is supported with Google until September 2030. So that's really how you get the most out of your meeting room equipment when it comes to Logi and Google. This refresh cycle that we're experiencing in 2025, maybe it's not something you have to worry about for the next 5 years. And Nathan kind of mentioned the larger product portfolio, but we certainly didn't just stop at the meeting room. All of those additional themes and things that we're seeing within the workplace, all of the scrambling that was happening 5 years ago to get hybrid working equipped, we have designed purpose-built solutions to address those use cases. Logitech Site, of course, out of that's something that complements the Rally Bar Mini to provide front-facing, inclusive views participants for the remote viewers. Rally Board 65 is on the way with Google, and that's going to provide full-out collaboration, being able to provide digital collaboration with partners like Figma, Miro, Lucid, in addition to just really, really sharp image and audio quality from an all-in-one device produced by Logitech. Logitech Scribe, the only certified whiteboard camera within the Google Meet ecosystem, use this for more of your traditional physical whiteboards and presenting content into a Google Meet meeting the same way that I'm presenting slides here. And then considering the outside of the conference room, what goes beyond just the insides is the Tap Scheduler. You provide room booking, workplace management, and insights that tie back to Sync or one of the partner platforms that Google and Logitech partnered with. The aforementioned Comeen. We also have partnerships with folks like Robin, AppSpace, and Envoy. And then on the desk booking side, as we start to think about personal workspace, this is something that DocFlex really helps to address.
I just want to mention one thing real quick, Ryan. I don't know if everyone's noticing this. From the first slide, we have not only options for every room size, but you also have the choice using Chrome OS or Android. So we're giving you the choice, right? I don't think everyone necessarily does that. When you're looking at like what products do you buy, we want to make sure it works for you. If that's your standard, if you can support it, of course, we're going to try to, but that's kind of the genesis of how we build things. But then with this slide, we go even outside the conference room, right? So we're thinking about how do we make the Google Workspace experience with Meet as flawless and seamless from environment to environment, from home desk to walking to the office, finding the space you need, booking the space you need, sitting either at a hot desk, your own personal dedicated desk, or a room, right? We're thinking through the entire experience because in today's world, you don't have a choice. You have to think about the overall experience. So I just want to interject. We're trying to fill in all the gaps as much as we can, as fast as we can. So again, feedback's really important for that. But a lot of these ideas we get from customers, even build products sometimes. So just we're thankful to have that kind of capability. All right.
Yeah, and it's the sort of approved, officially certified status that we have with Google, our official technology partnership that allows us to provide visibility of that all of these devices across Google Admin as well as within Logitech Sync management platform. So that's the kind of additional benefit you get. It's not just let's have a function purpose-built device in every single part of the office, and when I'm at home, but then I have no way of managing that. I have no way of understanding what's in my entire fleet. That's some of the benefit of working with Logitech, a trusted partner of Google, gets you. So a quick deeper look into some of these features. We're not going to get super technical on this call, but I did want to just call out some of the salient features for those that haven't taken a look at the Logi Google portfolio in a little while. Logitech site, I previously mentioned, it's what's providing in this depiction over here, the top left tile in this Google Meet window. That would be your remote experience. This is a camera which is seated at the center of the table. It connects back to a front of room camera in a Rally Bar or a Rally Bar Mini, and it creates these individual people slices. This is different to dynamic tiles, which is supported in all kinds of meeting rooms. This is specific for Logitech site and would be provided into the Google Meet experience. You can see as the image and animation plays that the angles for those individual participants are automatically being switched from the front of room camera to the site and forth. And you still maintain that entire perspective if you're the remote user to figure out how people are reacting, read body language, that sort of thing, with the picture in picture view that's provided from the front of room camera. This is now officially certified with Google Meet on Android, including the smart switching capability as of the release of CollabOS 115, which just finished its 100% rollout this week. So we're super excited to be able to report that. Hopefully, y'all have gotten a chance to try it out, either early testing or now that it's officially certified, giving it a chance.
I'll give everyone a word of warning here. Once you put this in here, the negative of having sight is that everyone will want one in every room. And we have gone through this with customers where they're like, hey, it's great. And these are customers that were beta testing before we did the final release. And they say, hey, it's great, but now everyone wants one. And we can't really afford to put it in every room. On the flip side, we had one customer said they're going to put it into every room. And we're like, well, it's made for medium-sized rooms, not really small. And now with dual side, you can do large rooms as well. But they're like, it doesn't matter. The problem is we've got to keep the experience consistent. So if you're getting proper eye contact with literally everyone around the table, which is amazing, it does really great at that, right? Then everyone wants it. And when they don't have it, then they get irritated because it's like a 1.0 meeting versus a 3.0 meeting. So just keep that in mind. I mean, I'm not saying no, you shouldn't do it at all, but that is a negative effect is like people like see the audio, they see the video quality, how people are framed properly. And then they experience the audio that's coming from the mics on top. And they're like, we want this in every room. So definitely test a lot. Our take is always, it's meant for a medium room. That's what we designed it for. We can do definitely larges as well. But once you start going lower than that, it really becomes a preference. If you really want to do it, obviously we'd support it, but it's really meant for medium to large rooms.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Nathan. And sort of my shameless plug here is, if you are concerned about, where should I deploy a site? When does a rally bar versus a rally bar mini make sense? I see that they're both listed as medium rooms. That's where, you and we, our partner community can really come into play and help provide that guidance. If you are from the partner community, we are building out a technical mastery training track for Google Meet that'll be available soon. I believe it'll be affiliated with a VIXA, but even outside of that, we host VIXA training sessions. If you were at Infocom this past year, we did a training session there where we get into the specifics of what meeting room hardware fits in what space. How do I handle some of these spaces that are non-standard, that maybe outside of the medium room? And we'll touch on that in just a moment as well. But if that's really going to whet your beak and you're interested in diving into those technical details, definitely stay tuned. There's more to come on that. And so, yeah, I want to jump right into that, sort of addressing, great. We've identified Rally Bar Mini, Rally Bar with site works ideally in those medium rooms that have those sort of bowling alley, long conference table style of layouts. How about a training room? How about a divisible space? What about an open area like a cafeteria where you're just having an all hands? That's where, Logitech has some solutions. We have offerings like the Rally camera, the more modular Rally system and Rally Plus. But I think really where we will lean is leveraging some of the support of our technology partners in QSys, Biamp, Shure, et cetera, for professional audio and video equipment, being able to provide multi-camera views integrated into Google Meet with something like Vision Suite. And then from a portability standpoint, when you think about divisible rooms, when you think about putting things on carts, prior to Rally Board 65, we had sort of no cart offering in our portfolio. We fully worked with folks like Steelcase, Heckler, Salamander, and even continue to do that still. We have a Rally Board 65 cart, but so does Heckler. So depending on your use case, your needs, if accessibility is a concern, if portability is a concern, you don't have to step outside of the greater Logitech ecosystem, so to speak, in order to address these spaces. And we're happy to sort of admit where our sweet spot is versus where our partners can really deliver the best solution for you and your customers. The other highlight I'll just point out once again here is that that Logitech base bundle is where this comes into play. So if you are planning to leverage a a video and audio solution from one of these technology partners, then all you need is the base bundle. Since that's your compute, that's the brains of the operation and your touchscreen, which provides that consistent touch look and feel across your spaces, small to large. So I've already touched on the base bundle on the left, but kind of recapping some of the new uh, enhancements and product initiatives on the Chrome OS side of the house. We talked about the large spaces, divisible rooms, and how that kind of plays in. What about the extra small spaces? What about the phone booths? Nathan marked that as an industry trend, but again, site may not necessarily make sense in those small spaces, those phone booths. That's where Meetup 2 really comes into play. Meetup, number one, most popular, most commercially successful video conferencing product in the industry, has been followed up. I think we blew it out of the water with Meetup 2. We are on track to have this certified by the end of the year with Google Meet, but this is really your solution to address those BYOD use cases, as well as have a dedicated conference room environment. And it is ideal for some of those 1 to 5 person sized conference room environments. Also, speaking to the theme of sustainability, this is actually using the highest amount of PCR. All of our devices nowadays use post-consumer recyclable material and FSC certified packaging, but Meetup 2, it definitely sets a new standard with regards to our sustainable approach for product production. And then one of the most frequently asked questions, they might be in the audience today too. One of the most frequently asked questions I get is, I have a Google Meet room, but I have to join different meeting provider calls. What do I do? Specifically, Microsoft Teams. We know that there's native direct guest join with Zoom and WebEx, but what of Teams? And so this is where PEXIP really comes into play. So PEXIP is working with Google. This was officially announced at Google Cloud Next. This should be available by the end of the year. This will offer via PEXIP Connect Cloud Gateway, so nothing you have to deploy on-prem, the ability to dial into Microsoft Teams calls from your Google Meet hardware natively. I don't want to give away too much. I want to give you something to come to if you're in the Bay Area, September 25th, but it works just as slick as the direct guest join experience for Zoom and WebEx. You have that drop-down menu. You have a calendar invite with a Teams call. It's going to just populate for one touch join, or you can simply just punch in the meeting code and passcode for that Teams call, join it right away. The other nice thing about PEXIP is, as part of the roadmap of development, they're not just doing direct guest join. They have a more fully featured, fully functional feature set available. So things like sharing content, dual display, those are things that may not be supported under the standard direct guest join experience. You'll get that with PEXIP Connect. So if you're interested, again, just a teaser for the September 25th event, but stay tuned if you're not able to make that one to hear more about this by the end of the year. Nathan.
So you kind of glossed over Meetup 2. I just want to give a real quick highlight. So consider Meetup 1 like and please, I don't mean to insult any car companies at this point, but consider Meetup 1 as the Toyota Corolla of the video bar. It's affordable, efficient, lasts really long, gets you from point A to point B, very efficient vehicle. It's a great car, right? Meetup 2 is a Ferrari. And what I mean by that is that we literally changed everything with this product. And some of the things to just highlight real quickly. It has full-blown right side 2 and full-blown right sound 2. So everything we talked about earlier in terms of echo cancellation, voice leveling, noise cancellation, grid view, speaker view, all the different views that then power your Google experience is built into Meetup 2, whether you use it in BYOD mode or attached to Chrome. So it is a massive, massive upgrade. So if you have not looked at it, buy one, put it in. You'll be in shock at how good this thing is. So, and again, it's the same price as what Meetup 1 had when we released it 8 years ago. So don't gloss over the small rooms. If you want a high quality Google Meet experience across all your rooms, including smaller rooms and huddles, whether it's BYOD or not, test out Meetup 2. You will be very, very surprised.
Yeah, we're super excited to have that certification official. But certainly for the BYOD use case today, in preparation for that official cert, It's definitely worth exploring. And we'll actually give you an opportunity to potentially get one in your hands. I'll tease that before the end of this presentation. But yeah, transitioning to the Google Meet on Android side, since we've got to cover both houses, we'll talk about sort of the differences and why I would choose one over the other as an end user. But one of the sort of top level comments on that is Google Meet on Android hosts the Google Meet app on the device itself. So there's no need for a Chromebox. That reduces the bill of materials, that reduces the wiring and cabling complexity, and just the potential parts for failure. So in a lot of ways, it makes a lot of sense from a consolidation and simplicity perspective. Google Meet on Android is also 8, 9 years younger than Google Meet on Chrome. And so building out the full feature set, bringing it to full feature parity with Chrome OS is one of the initiatives that Logitech, Google have been working on since it launched in 2024. So where we stand today and some of the highlight features to mention are HDMI ingest, that wired cable presentation for presenting content from a laptop, from a mobile device. For users that are not unfamiliar with or don't want to use companion mode, which I think works great. I use it all the time when I go to meeting rooms for wireless screen sharing. You do have this wired option from the back of the bar with the release of CollabOS 115. I think we spoke a lot about Logitech site already, but just to reiterate, this one is certified. Another commonly asked question I get is, are two sites daisy chaining dual site? It's referred to as a couple different things. Is that certified? Well, that just got rolled out by Logitech as a beta in 115. So we are still working with Google to pursue and receive an official certification for it, but that is in the works. And then the other question, again, touching on BYOD and some of the conference room flexibility, Logitech Extend. I get a lot of questions about this one. It's a BYOD enabling device. It's powered, so you can charge your laptop when you're connected to it in the conference room. We are working on official support from a Logi perspective on this. Some of it was some of it required the HDMI ingest feature to be available. There's some additional polish we need to apply to it, but that is on the roadmap. That is coming soon. So again, I won't get into like super deep detail here. There's a technical track that we'll reserve for this, but as you're kind of making this decision, if you're at the crossroads and you don't know whether Chrome OS or Android makes sense for you from a hardware perspective, this is what we're looking at in terms of bridging those feature parity gaps. So some of the main callouts I'll make are towards the bottom of the list here, being able to support multiple cameras, such as plugging in a camera to a rally bar and being able to have a presenter view versus an audience view. That's something that's still on the way. External audio support, being able to plug in one of those DSPs from our technology partners, that's also in the works. And then we talked about Extend. And then similarly, from a software perspective, this is where we're working closely with Google to uh, do what we need to do in order to make sure our hardware supports their software features, things like audio processing, default volume settings, room settings, passwords. But I think what's in focus, especially for our European audience, but I think it applies everywhere as we think about sustainability, is power savings, being able to automatically power off the displays, the touchscreen when it's not in use overnight outside of office hours. That is something that's in the works that we're working closely with the Google team to complete. As always, you can refer to the Google Meet support website to find the full comparison list. Things that we're not mentioning here that I take for granted, but may not necessarily should. Things like, uh, participant limit, how layouts work, being able to stream certain types of video and sharing content, etc. So there's a resource there, but it's also available just by searching for it. And so I'd be remiss not to mention the personal workspace side of the house, which, you know, as part of the charter for many IT and AV professionals, it's not just about the conference rooms, but what are the work from home setups like? What's the new employee package look like? We have, as part of this partnership with Google, a full set of certified solutions across Google Meet, Google Voice, and works with Chromebooks. So if you are leveraging voice over IP with Google Voice, if you are deploying Chrome OS within your environments or your end user laptops, Chromebooks, things like that, we have a full suite of solutions that are available. In fact, this might be the topic of our next new and now. We've got some stuff cooking up here to help update this list for 2025. I'll leave it at that. But you can take a look at the list, webcams all the way out to mice and keyboards are tried and true. Those are available for Meet, Voice, Chromebook. So as we wind down towards the Q&A here, if you are interested in personal workspace, we have a program called Logitech Boost com/boost. And if you are looking to deploy 250 or more workspace devices, seats, you can call it from a workspace perspective, in the next year, we can actually put together some of these workspace kits for you. That'll include a mouse and keyboard, a headset, and a webcam so that you can try it at home. You can try it out and workshop it with some of your end users and see if a Logitech solution makes the most sense. And then I mentioned, we might have a meetup too for you as well. So this is the equivalent version on the team workspace or room solution side of the house, Logitech Kickstart. This has been a very useful program for end users that are looking to deploy 10 or more rooms in the next 12 months. So this is really your chance to be able to receive a room kit, yours to keep, 1 to 2 of them, depending on how many rooms you're looking to outfit. And this will give you the chance to have an extended trial, extended POC. We can pair that with Logitech Essential, which gives you additional insights, monitoring, and capabilities like Logi Room Booking, Logi Desk Booking from the software platform for 90 days. And this will really allow you to put Logitech through its paces and hopefully, choose to go with us and with Google in the long run. So logitech.com/kickstart for this one. Very easy to remember, Boost and Kickstart. So with that, we're going to transition over to Q&A. I saw a few questions come in. I don't know if everybody has the chance or the ability to read them, so I will read them out as we kind of get through it. But I'll take the first couple ones here. Are there any licensing requirements for any of your conference room solutions for clients that use Zoom, Google Meet, or Teams? Uh, from a conference room perspective, the answer is yes. And I'll speak specifically to Google, although I know it applies similarly to other PC platforms. But speaking from the Google perspective, there's a Google Meet hardware license. This is a different SKU to your traditional workspace seat or workspace license. This is different from the Google Cloud subscriptions and credits that you might have. So this is a specific license that is managed in Google Admin Panel, and it's assigned to each of your dedicated Google Meet hardware devices, whether that's a Chromebox or it's an Android appliance device. These are available from Google Meet hardware authorized resellers, which is a subset of overall Google Workspace resellers. You can find the list by searching for Google Meet hardware authorized reseller. Or if you're in supported countries like the United States, Canada, there's about 9 or 10 countries in Europe, you can actually go to the Google admin panel yourself. And if you're an enterprise user, you should be able to go in and actually purchase up to 10 licenses on your own without the use of a reseller. But anything over that requires working with one of those Google Meet hardware authorized resellers.
So the base license, just to kind of dive into that question, you need a Google Meet hardware license. That's a given. If you're running a room system, right? If you're running BYOD, obviously not, but you don't get all the features of Google Meet's platform. So assuming that's the question, then the other question could be also, well, how do I then connect to Zoom? Do I also need a Zoom license? Well, it has a version of Direct as Join, right? So do you want to talk about Interop? Because you don't need licenses for those other platforms. So do you want to just kind of state out like which ones are supported today? And then there's also PEXIP, which you will require a license for, right? But if you want to cover that.
Yeah, that's a great point, Nathan. So if you wanted to use your Google Meet room to join a Zoom call or a WebEx call, that's part of the standard Google Meet hardware license that I was just mentioning. Direct Guest Join is integrated and fully part of the Google Meet hardware offering. To check the box on Microsoft Teams, that's where something like PEXIP Connect would come into play, and that has a separate license with PEXIP that would need to be provided. But in terms of the enablement, you would simply just add that license key into your Google admin panel from the same place that you would configure interoperability with those other platforms. So it's relatively streamlined, but it is worth calling out that it is a separate license. Awesome.
Cool.
Cool. All right, we're getting through. So is Roommate not in scope for Google Meet? That was a good call out. We didn't mention Roommate specifically. Uh, at this time, there are no plans that I can share with regards to Roommate support with Google Meet. It would be Google Meet on Android since it's running Collab OS, but nothing I can share at this time, unfortunately. We have another question here regarding HDMI ingest, asking about from the Logitech Tap with Google Meet interoperability. So, a couple things to unpack here. The base level answer is HDMI ingest from the Logitech Tap is supported today with Google Meet on Chrome. Uh, in fact, Google recently made the announcement that on Zoom and WebEx interoperability calls, that wired sharing is supported. So that either has rolled out or is in the process of rolling out right now. So that checks the box from a Chrome perspective. Google Meet on Android, we just released HDMI ingest from the back of the bar, not from the tap. That's an important distinction. That is something that is on the roadmap, but I don't have a timeline that I can share at this point. We have a question asking, how is Extend different from Switch? Uh, Maybe the short way I'll answer the question is we really position Logitech Switch for use in Chrome OS environments and Logitech Extend for use in Android environments. Functionally, they work the same in terms of giving you a single USB connection to your laptop in order to take over the meeting room equipment, and then you can use it as you wish. Uh, there's some additional enhancements and lessons learned we have from Switch, such as the ability to run it over longer distances, the power delivery that I mentioned earlier. But in a nutshell, if you're looking at Chrome, Switch would be the way to go. If you're looking at Android, Extend would be the way to go. Nathan, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah. So I want to make sure we highlight you said longer distances, but this is a big deal, right? So one with Extend, you can go 100 meters from the back of the bar to the box that's under the table that enables Extend to work. Number two, it uses standard CAT cable. So you don't need to get a specific size. You just have your guy run it or you guys run it, right? Terminate it. And now you have a, basically low cost cable that you can implement yourself. The second thing, the power delivery is a big deal because with Switch, we use 60 watts. Clearly, I mean, all our laptops are at least 100 watts now, maybe 80 to 100, depending which one you have. So the requirements were more. So we created a pass through that lets you take any 100-watt, go buy an Anchor or a Belkin or whatever you want. You can basically, there's an inline under the table where you plug your USB-C power adapter in there. It goes USB-C to our box. And then that same cable carries the power so that when you have executives, when you have folks coming in, joining the meeting, let's face it, most people don't always have a charged laptop, right? So now you plug it in, it's going to charge up to 100 watts, or at least keep the battery stable and not deplete the battery so they can have a great meeting. Those are the two big ones I think for Extend. Yes, it's simpler, it's more efficient, it's made of recycled plastic. All those are all true. But Extend is our next generation. The way we position it to work with Android because it works in conjunction with those bars in terms of CollabOS. So CollabOS is aware of Extend and you can update it through sync and all that stuff. So that's why we're focusing more on Android support.
Awesome. You got a thumbs up for that one. So thank you, Nathan, for adding some of the additional value add from Extend. We have one more question in the Q&A. Feel free to keep them coming, but I see one more left. Do you have a general idea of the cost of PEXIP integration for Microsoft Teams join through GMOA, Google Meet on Android? That one I'll have to defer to PEXIP. My understanding is that they have developed a distilled, if you will, version of PEXIP Connect, so it's not going to be the full out PEXIP license. But as far as I understand, they're still working through these specific pricing details. So I recommend getting in touch with them. They're also in the process of rolling out a customer beta. So if you want to get an early shot at it as well, I'd say reach out to the PEXIP to get more details there. So we will be here, and before we let everyone go, Nathan, maybe I'll pass it back to you just to do one more plug for the upcoming event on the 25th.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like for those of you who weren't here at the beginning, so we have an event that's happening in the Bay Area on September 25th. We have some executives from Google coming. We'll have some executives from Logitech. Also, our partners, Comin, QSys, as well as Pexip will be there. There's some live demos. We'll walk you through our new HQ office. If you have not been to our San Jose facility, it is a gorgeous facility and kind of gives you an idea of how we've kind of planned what the workplace needs to look like based on changing habits of the workplace or the workers, right? So we want to make sure people are welcome. They can schedule on demand. It is a really, really beautiful office. So we thought it would be great to have an event there and then invite our customers over. So if you are in the Bay Area, please feel free to join. We'll also send an actual link. There's a QR code there, but in case you missed that, we'll send a link and thank you email as well. Any more questions,
Stuff.
or are we?
There was another question about barcode click share, but I believe we had already addressed that earlier. So I don't see anything else.
If there's if there's any confusion around it, just think of it this way: if you do BYOD with an AirPod bars today, you plug in the cable, it works, right? All we're doing with Barco is making that portion wireless. There is some more complexity to that, but essentially we're extending it to be wireless. So everything that's running on the bar is still going to run on the bar. So you don't really have to have an integration that's going to work natively. If that helps.
Awesome. Awesome. And then I'll jump back to this slide that we have here, Meet the Future. So for those that don't know Avanish and Sudeep, that's really one of the other highlights to this is that there will be a fireside session. Nathan is very humble, but he's actually going to be moderating the session between these two. Avanish is the head of real-time communication at Google, which means Google Meet, Google Voice, Google Meet hardware. So we have some heavy hitters in the room. Sudeep is the head of alliances and go-to-market here at Logitech for Business. So similar to some of the conversation about market trends and where they see the eight ball moving in terms of AI. If you're in the Bay Area, this is not one to miss. So with that, Nathan, I think we're clear. How about we give folks 5 minutes back to their day?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone loves 5 minutes back. It's bathroom break or lunch or something, right? And depending which part of the world you're at. Folks, thank you for joining. Thank you, Ryan, for putting this together. I think we've got some good feedback already. So keep the feedback coming. We're trying to do our best to give you guys the best experience working with Google and our partners. So thank you for being here today, and we look forward to hearing from you. Cheers, everyone.
Fantastic. Take care, everybody.
Bye.